What first inspires you to get yourself in business? Why did you decide to start entrepreneurial route or way and start investing?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was just kind of always in me. Like growing up as a child, it was just kind of my first instinct was to create something. And so I would actually design houses. I would draw blueprints for houses because I thought that was cool, and I loved houses. That's part of how I got into real estate, was because I just find that so interesting. And I would design things. I would draw up like interior design things. So just being creative and making something. I sewed purses, and then I would get on Microsoft Word, and back when we had like this fat computer, eventually it got updated, but when I was like 5 or 6 years old, there's this fat computer. I figured out how to get onto Microsoft Word, and I would type in snow letters. Do you guys remember that font that was literally snow was on I thought it was so cool. It's so old, and I'm not even that old, but I thought that snow letters was like the coolest thing. And so I would type up flyers, and I started 2 businesses. One was called Hannah's Handbags, and I would literally sew purses. I got these, my grandmother did a lot of sewing, and so she taught me, and I did sewing lessons too. Okay. And she taught me how to sew, so I would make these purses, and I would sell them. I would print out invoices for my clients. I think I maybe sold 2 or 3 purses. It didn't really turn into a big thing. Yeah. But and then I made stupendous stationery was another one, and I would design my own greeting cards on Microsoft Word, and then I would sell thank you cards, or I would do custom like birthday cards for my siblings' birthdays, and just because I was like, I want to make something. It just naturally came to me, like I need to make something and I need to sell it. And it was just second nature. Like I just feel like I must have been born with that. And I don't know that anyone ever really taught me. It was just observing the world and realizing that that's commerce, and that's what money makes the world go around. And I just wanted a part in that. So I did those businesses. I would do restaurants with my siblings. Anytime my parents had someone over for dinner, we would always ask if we could do the serving. And we had, growing up in this one house we lived in, the dining room had a sliding door to the kitchen. And so we would shut that door. We would be back in the kitchen preparing the meal, because my sister was very good, Rachel, she's very good at cooking. And so she was like a professional chef when she was like 10 years old. And so, and so she would literally cook for my parents' dinner guests, and I would type up the menus, and then I would take photos even and put my photos in. I put some clip art in there too, and then me and my siblings would like put on an apron and put on like hats or whatever, and we would pretend to be a wait staff, and I was like running a restaurant. So we did that. I mean, just so many different things. And then when I was 14, my parents, when I was 13, they moved to the neighborhood they live in now. Very nice neighborhood, a lot of wealthy people there, and a lot of kids in the neighborhood. And so I was 14, and I got on my bike, and I had made flyers, 8x10 flyers. I put a photo of myself. I put testimonials of people that I had babysat for. And then I also made business cards. And I ordered them from Vistaprint. I thought it was very cool. And I got on my bike, and I rode around the neighborhood, and I knocked on people's doors. And I said, hi, I just moved. I've been babysitting for, my church and for home group and whatever, and like family, friends. And I was like, here's testimonials, here's my references, here's a business card. I want to earn money. If you would hire me, I would be happy to babysit for you. And people actually called me, and I got a lot of jobs, and I built a whole babysitting network. And then so my first job was when I was 14. There was a family that lived on our like cul-de-sac, and the mom was a nurse, and so sometimes she would have to work like a few days a week. She would have to work till like 7 or 8 p.m. and her son got off the school bus at like, 3:45.
Yeah.
And so, or no, it was like 4:15, and I would get to his house at like 3:45, and 3:45 to 4, and I'd wait for him to get off the bus, and then I was there when he got there, and I think I got paid like $5 an hour. And then they kind of bumped up my pay a little bit, but I did that till I was 17. And I would do a bunch of other jobs along with that. I would go babysit for people at random, just random times, and then every summer I was a full-time nanny. And then when I was 16, I got my job, my first more real nanny job, where it was very consistent. Because I would do school on like Mondays and Wednesdays, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because I was homeschooled so I could work. Tuesdays and Thursdays I would go and I would babysit all day for the family who started the lawn care company, and I ended up working for them later.
For them, yeah.
Yeah, and so their baby was 4 months old at the time, and I was 16, and I was their first nanny. So the mom, her name's Misty would stay, at the house doing her work in her office, and I was just taking care of Harper. And then, I stayed with them for a long time till I was 19. I would babysit for them in high school and college, and then, that's really kind of where I got my start. I just found I enjoyed working.
I would say, since the time I knew you in college, you've always been entrepreneurial, you just went after it.
Yes.
What advice would you have for your women that are also looking to pursue the entrepreneur passion?
I would say, honestly, really breaking the gender norms is I do believe in men having strengths and women having different strengths too, but I do think in the workplace and in business I choose to view everyone as equal. And so I'm not going to look at a male coworker and really think well, he's a man, so I'm not going to assign him this or whatever. This is your job, you can do it, and I'll assign you what the job requires, And so I think going into everything with that mindset of don't ever think that because you're a woman, and women maybe traditionally have been at home and haven't been an entrepreneur, that doesn't mean you can't be one. And so just move forward with not even focusing on the fact that, you're a woman and maybe you're in a room full of men. Just, do the job. And if you're smart enough and you can do the job, who cares? You just get it done.
Right.
That's really great. So what about for somebody, we talk about women of course, that isn't right there and they don't know where to start. They might have an idea, or they might have funds, right, where they want to start a business, but they don't know where to start. What kind of advice, or what can you tell them where to start, what to do, so that it can help them to get themselves into business?
So I would say the first place to start is the only thing I don't like about really the accessibility we have with the internet today is that it has created a bit of that side hustle culture where everyone thinks they're an entrepreneur, and everyone thinks that, just because I started my little dog walking side hustle, that I am now a business owner and I know how to run a company. No, you don't. And also you might not even be that smart, and a lot of people, and also just because you heard the word passive income and you think first of all, there's no such thing as passive income. And no such thing. And secondly, it takes a lot of work to get your money to work for you in a way where it's passive income, where you see all the things of people posting on Instagram. I made $5,000 while I was sleeping today. And it took a lot of work to get to that point. Some of it might not even be true. It's just social media posts. A lot of times the post itself made more money than whatever it was they were posting about that they said made so much money. So I would say, to get back to your question.
No, go ahead.
To get back to your question, I would say, if you're trying to start a business, the first thing you have to do, you can't just start a business to start a business. You have to figure out what excites you and what you're passionate about, because everyone is passionate about the idea of passive income.
Yeah.
Everyone is passionate about, let me make my own schedule and be my own boss, you know? And so everyone, you know, wants to do that, but you that doesn't just happen, and it's not even in every business. And there's plenty of people that they really work not, what is that saying, you know, like, don't work for your business, work on your business, or, you know, whatever that saying is. It's kind of cliche saying, but essentially their business isn't making money for them. It's not smart money. Yeah.
It's losing money for them?
It might be losing money. It might be taking so much of their time that it's not, you know, what they, it's not becoming what they thought. So you need to do a lot of research, and you really need to maybe start in something small. The thing is, if you're like, I would say if you're like 18 to 25 and you've never tried to ever start something a single day in your life, you have never come up with a creative idea, or you've never tried to sell something, like the kid who did a lemonade stand when he was 10 years old has a leg up on someone who is 18 years old and has never ever tried to start anything, or even maybe not even ever had a job, you know? And I don't want to hear from that person that they think they're an entrepreneur.
There's a lot of books
smart,
that speak on this concept too.
Yeah.
About from that same age range that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I think that's the time where youth in general should take the most amount of risk.
Yeah.
That they can, because you have time.
Yeah.
Essentially, you have time.
Essentially.
To be able to catch up from any mistakes that you can make.
Yeah.
So, but that's the time. If you're ever gonna make any mistakes, make them when you're young.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But if you take those risks, they can help you in the future.
And I think someone who's actually going to be a successful entrepreneur, and maybe they don't quite know where to start, but if they have it in them, they've tried it before. They've tried to start something before. They've naturally, ideas have come to them, you know, if you really have it in you. And if you look back over your life and that's never happened to you, you've never thought of an idea of a business, or you've never thought of something to sell or whatever, then you probably don't have it in you. And you should probably be an employee, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know? And so I think there's, first of all, that there's a lot of people that are, you know, think they want to start a business that would be eliminated if they realize that. I think too, they don't understand what goes into it, and how much you really need to understand about money, and how much time it's going to take from you, and how much research you need to do, how much knowledge you need to gain, and then also how much you need to put yourself out there. And because to start a business, you have to literally be able to wear every single hat. You know, to be an employee, you do one thing, you do your job, your one job, and that's one small part. That's like my arm attached to the rest of my body, you know? But as the business owner, you are the entire body. You have to start it. And a lot of people really can't do that. But if someone really thinks they can, and they've started things before, or they've at least tried, because you don't have to be successful. I'm not saying you have to have started a successful business. You have to have at least tried. And honestly, you should fail. Hopefully you failed, because that means you got a failure out of the way, you know? And so I think the first step is really just like identifying if you have it in you. Maybe take a personality assessment before you go and spend the time it's going to take to start a business. Make sure you're cut out for it. And then if you are, and if you can get through that step, then maybe you have some, you know, ability to handle the longevity of work that's required to actually, you know, take something from beginning to end. So do that first step, figure out who you are and what you're good at and what you're passionate about, and come up with an idea. Even if you're just pull from anything you can and just constantly have an idea machine going in your head, and you'll start to come up with things. You'll come up with an idea, and then once you've come up with that idea, you have to validate that idea. So make sure it's a viable business. There's a real need for it. There's a real market for it. Make sure it will actually make money. And then if that's the case, you need to plan out your steps with dates in mind. You need to say, like, this is the starting point, this is the end point, these are all the steps in between, and these steps need to be done by these specific dates. So I'm giving myself 1 week to do this. Because if you don't do that, it'll never get done.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say that's like from a high level, that's kind of the steps you have to take. And then, you essentially identify your plan and execute that plan. And it'll evolve. You have to definitely give some leeway for it to evolve. There's plenty of products that took months, even years before market adoption. Also, there's products that started out as one thing and then evolved to something else by the time they actually were adopted in the market. So you have to have some flexibility within that, goal setting, but you need at least an initial plan and then kind of go from there and build on that.
Great. I really loved this podcast. Like, this episode is like really educational, instructive. I really love it so far. And unless Taylor has a question, but I have this question that pops up in my mind, to the point like most people today live in conformity.
Yeah.
Right. They try to conform to everything. So sometimes you ask somebody like, why do you do this? Sometimes they tell you, I don't know. It's because Hannah is doing that.
I don't know.
It's
Everyone
because
does it.
Taylor, like, I don't know. Everybody does
It's
it.
the trend.
It's
Yeah.
the trends.
Yeah.
So do you think like being entrepreneur, businessman or women, is it people are trying to be that because they try to conform? Or it's really something that is normal to be an entrepreneur or a business owner,
Yeah.
a businessman or woman?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it really is, I think it was, humans were supposed to have that in all of us, I think we're all supposed to create something, and even if it's on a very small level, like, within your specific job as an employee for a company, you come up with a new system or a new process, a new way to do something. That is a very minuscule way of like being an entrepreneur, of creating something new. And I think all of us have the ability as humans to create something new. I mean, that's how the world has gone from living in log cabins to where we're at right now.
Yep.
And so I think, yes, like that is really the just foundation of all of us humans, is to continue innovating and continue creating new things. I think, unfortunately, as the population grows and as it continues to dumb down, because we're eating terrible food and big business and big government are taking over, big pharma, I feel like it's killing the creativity. And then there's one trend that really takes off and everyone just conforms to it because it's a way to feel connected and to feel like you fit in and you're part of something. And all humans need to feel like they're part of something, whether it's on a small level or like on a big scale. Like, that's kind of what we were created to feel as like connection and family and whatever. And I think the trends kind of help people attach to something. And I think too, part of that is because innovation is dying and creativity is dying. And it's because we have so much big business, big government, big pharma that wants to kill, who humans really are, turn us into drones.
Why would you say that is? If
because the rich want to get
trends-
richer.
or innovation in general from our youth. People
Yeah.
are scared. You think if people are scared to just of the competition that's out there?
I think, yes, I think there's so much out there now. So much has been created that it's very easy to think what can I possibly create that's not already
It's not
created?
already out there.
Yeah, I think that's difficult. And it does take a lot of like just staying consistent with it. I mean, I've been trying to come up with ideas since I was, a kid. And I think I only now think I've finally started coming up with good ideas. Just in like probably the past year, to be honest.
That's right.
Yeah, but and I think it's taken me all those years to come up with stuff. But I think most people don't naturally like think that way. Not a lot of people do. I mean, the percentage of people that actually start a successful business is very, very small. And so, I think not a lot of people have the capacity or the natural tendency to think that way. And I kind of lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that, with that sentence, but yeah, I think that's why. It goes back to like creating new things, and I think we do have a lot that's been created. I think we have a lot of pointless stuff that's been created too, and like sometimes you ever look at like products in the stores and you're like, why does this exist? Who's buying this product? You know,
Okay.
we have so many things that I think never needed to be created ever. So there's also like not a lot of thought being put into things anymore.
Well, the thing is, if you follow just the history, innovation doesn't follow trends.
Yeah.
No.
Look at people like
No.
Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
A lot of inventors who are inventing some of the greatest technology that we use now today, they had to go away from the norm.
Away. Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't following the trend.
Sure.
No, yeah, exactly.
In order for them to actually innovate.
Yeah.
Now we see the benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So that innovation doesn't follow a trend.
Because, yeah, groupthink, you know, like it's the whole groupthink saying, and that's what really the government, the rich just trying to get richer want us all to get clustered into groupthink so they can control us all. And so, yeah, and I feel like that's been happening through all of history. It's just more obvious now, and it's on a bigger scale now than, you know, we have the media really broadcasting it. So, yeah.
That's great.